Welcome to Recalculating America, a program dedicated to small business in America. Recalculating will help you, the American small business owner, build a new business or help you to grow your existing one. Each week, experts will give you useful information about starting your new business, and you will hear from professionals selected to help you grow your business. Your hosts are Don Mazzella and Dan Perkins. Don Mazzella is the editor-in-chief of the Small Business Digest and has many years of experience helping small businesses build and grow their businesses. Now he is sharing his ideas with you over the air. Dan Perkins is a registered investment advisor with 43 years' experience in managing money. He specializes in helping small business owners make their money work as hard as they do. Now, your host, Don Mazzella and Dan Perkins.
Good evening. This is Dan Perkins, and I'm your co-host along with Don Mazzella of Recalculating, a program dedicated to helping small business leaders increase their profits. We draw our name from the best-selling book, which features the contributions of more than 100 presidents, experts, and leaders, all of whom offer ways to grow your small business profitably. Don?
Well, Dan, I'm having a good time. I'm on vacation and having a good time about it. But this show, in particular today, is of very great interest to me because we have a very unusual guest. Do you want to talk about her?
Yeah, we have Amanda Schneider, who we just had a few moments to talk to about her unique business. And so I understand SCORE recognized you as a small business for the state of Arizona. So, Amanda, tell us a little bit about yourself, the SCORE award, and then most important, tell us about your unique business.
Sounds good. It's actually the state of Nevada is where we're located.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. My name is Amanda Schneider. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm 26 years old. I just opened the first and only private drug detection company in the state of Nevada. So pretty much what we do is we use trained canines, almost like a police dog, and we originally started this for worried family members. If you think your loved one is doing drugs, you don't want law enforcement involved, we could come in when your loved one is, say, not home. We could search the home. If we find anything, you get to decide at that point what actions you want to take. You dispose of the drugs, and it's all confidential, discreet. You know, we come in unmarked cars. The neighbors don't know about it, and it's just very private. And our dogs are able to alert on 5 major street drugs: marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and MDMA.
So let me interrupt you because I'm fascinated. I'm assuming that all of the drugs that you just mentioned that you can find are controlled substance and are illegal, at least on a federal level.
Correct.
So when you go in and you spot the drugs, and you leave it up to the individuals to decide what to do they have to tell you what they did with the drugs?
No, they do not. We actually, when our dog alerts on something in somebody's home, we kind of just mark the area, and it's up to the homeowner at that point to go through that area and find what our dog alerted on. They can choose to do that while we're there, or if they'd like to handle it themselves when we're gone, they also have the choice to do that.
Can your dogs detect the use of the drug by a human?
What do you mean by that?
If somebody's on cocaine or heroin or marijuana, can the dogs who are sniffing to try and find the controlled substance, can they tell whether somebody is using it or not?
We haven't experimented with that. I'm sure they could, but we don't search people. So we haven't ever done training on them, kind of detecting a person.
Right.
I mean, they'll alert on very small amounts. I mean, our dog can alert on something if, say, you were smoking marijuana and your T-shirt is now in your hamper. Our dog could alert on that, and up to days later. So it's really cool, but kind of crazy how smart they are.
Do you need a special license from the state of Nevada to do this work?
Yes, it took us about 9 months just to get our private investigator's license, which the state of Nevada did require for us to start the business, because they had to do a huge background check, obviously, on me, and then they also had to put us through a test with our local police department, and they had to test the dog to make sure that the dog could properly find all drugs.
Wow. So you're in essence, a private detective agency, and your detective has 4 legs and a great nose.
Correct.
How long does it take to train a dog to be a detective?
We actually got our dog Nick already trained. I'm actually we have 2 German Shepherds. One is Jax and one is Nick. Nick, we got fully trained by a professional trainer in Tennessee who trains police dogs. And we're working on Jax now myself. It's a bit tough. I thought it would be a little easier. So I'm not sure how long it takes yet, but I'll find out once he's trained.
If you're you bought the one dog already trained from a place in Tennessee.
Correct.
What did it cost
Yes,
to acquire a trained dog?
It cost, after travel and I had to stay out there for a while for training, it cost about $10,000 for our dog.
Wow.
Nick. Yeah.
So
it's a little pricey.
What do you think is the opportunity for your business going forward?
I really want to reach the residential side of the business. I want to help worried family members because I was once in a really bad position to where this business could have helped me. And I really want to expand there. Commercial seems to be more popular right now. That's just because nobody really knows it exists. It's never existed before, so it's been a little tough for the residential side to find us and to kind of go to them. But I'd really like to hit that market a little harder because, again, I really want to help people who are in the same shoes that I once was.
Amanda, I'm a registered investment advisor under the Securities and Exchange Commission, and I have very tough regulations of what I can do and say and what I can't say, and advertising is one of the most difficult things to get approved. Have you started any advertising, and I'm not sure how you promote it, but have you started any advertising for your business?
We are testing out the Facebook and the social media advertising right now. It hasn't been a big hit yet, but we just got started with it, so I'm not really sure how that's going to play out yet. Cold calling has pretty much been the best bet for commercial, just calling other companies, rehab facilities, the clubs here in Las Vegas, introducing myself, telling them what we do and how we can help them. That's pretty much been the best way we've advertised so far, but we're always looking for new ways to market and advertise.
So you started this business from scratch?
Correct.
What were you doing before you did this?
I was in payroll and HR for a community management company for almost 7 years before this.
Wow. How do you go from that to drug-sniffing dogs?
Well, there is a story behind it. I'll try and make it a little quick. I was previously in a 4-year relationship with somebody who had a drug addiction that I never knew about. And about 2 years into our relationship, the signs were all there, but I was very young. I wasn't really sure the side effects of drugs. I have never done drugs. So it was just very new to me. So, but eventually it got so bad to the point where I knew something was wrong. So, when he would be at work, I would search through the entire house, try to find any evidence that I could, because I asked him all the time, but, they don't want to just say, yeah, you're right, I'm using drugs every day, It's not something you're proud to admit. Mm-hmm. So I searched, I'm telling you, every day for years. And it was one day when I was in the garage, and I opened up a box that was on the top shelf of our garage. And it was one of those inflatable pumps to blow up one of those, like, air mattresses. And inside of the box, inside of the air pump, there was meth. And I guess it was at that point where, like, I felt not so crazy anymore, because I knew something was wrong. And in that moment, I remember thinking, wow, if I just had a dog or like a dog that was trained, he could smell that. I would have never found this if I wasn't going through the garage. And it took me, years to find it and finally get the truth. And now that I have my dog, Nick, he could find that in minutes. And it's crazy to think that, like, and I remember just thinking in that moment that there's no way I'm the only person in Las Vegas going through this. And it was then that I was like, I could help people. I could help myself, and I could help other people. And so it took me 5 years to finally actually take the plunge and start it, because I was scared, but I did it, and here I am, and now I help people who are who were once in my shoes, and it's a really good feeling.
How much do you think you spent starting your business?
Ooh, I want to say
scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very scary. I want to say roughly $25,000 between everything. I also quit my job to start this full time, because I knew if I was busy doing something else, I wouldn't put 100% into this. So, right. But startup costs about $25,000. That's without me making money, obviously. So
$25,000 includes the cost of the dog?
Correct. Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's all the licensing, all the travel, all the training I had to take for the dog. And
do you know of any other people in your community that do what you do?
I don't actually. Before I started it, when I kind of had the idea, I Googled it, and I'm like, I can't be the only one who has thought of this. And found, there are companies around the United States who also do this, but I have yet to find one in Las Vegas or Nevada. I've tried Googling a million times, but I just haven't found anybody here.
Can I assume that your dog can tell if a person has one of the 4 or 5 controlled substances you talk about on their person?
Oh, correct. Yes, absolutely.
So are there laws in the state of Nevada about bringing controlled substance drugs into the workplace?
Yeah, a lot of companies have a drug-free workplace. We cannot search a person. We can't search a person. We can search offices and things in the office, but as far as actually searching somebody or like the clothes they're wearing, by law we can't do.
And why do you think that is?
I couldn't give you an exact answer, but we did a lot of research and we did a lot of asking the state for questions, and because again, since we were the first ones, we weren't sure on the legalities of it. So we talked to the state, we talked to the private investigators board, and it's funny because every time we would talk to someone, they would say, I have to get back to you. I have no idea because we've never heard of this before. And I'm like, well, I want to do it. So I have a nice little file tucked away upstairs with everything written down that we've had to ask. And it's crazy. It's just crazy.
Does the Las Vegas police force have these dogs?
Yes, they do. I believe our police department has 9 dogs total. narcotic
I'm
dogs.
sorry, did you say 9 dogs?
Yes,
And do you know what they use them for?
Yeah, well, they use them a lot in schools and, traffic stops and homes, when they get warrants and that sort of thing. We're trying our hardest to get into our public schools. We're not trying to kick them out, but we're trying to get in there too. I just think it's really important for drug dogs to show a presence in our schools because it doesn't happen as often as I feel it should. Again, I was in high school. I feel like it wasn't that long ago, but I never did drugs, but I could have told you, a ton of people who did. And I don't think that's safe. And we really want to show a presence there and keep drugs out of the schools, keep the students safe, and hopefully stop drugs from being introduced to people. A lot of people try drugs in their school years, and I think if we can kind of stop that, it could, potentially stop a lot of people from going down that road.
So if you take your dog down the center of a hallway where there's metal lockers, student lockers on each side of the wall, can your dog identify the drugs through the metal doors?
Oh, absolutely. We wouldn't walk towards the center. We would actually have him search, one side at a time. But, I mean, it's amazing to watch. He will if he passes an odor of one of the drugs, he will just stop and he will just go right back to it. And, it's really cool to see.
Do the public schools in Nevada have a drug-free policy?
Yes, they do.
So you have the potential to provide an important service to make sure that the public schools are drug-free.
Yeah, correct. So as I said, right now they do use the police department, but to my understanding, they use the police department only as requested. So what I was trying to pitch to them is we want to be there regularly. We want to be there not only to keep, we want to be there as a deterrent. The students see a drug dog walking around campus. It's not necessarily because your school is full of drugs, but we want to, kind of put that scare tactic into them. We want them to not bring them to school in the first place. So we really feel that we could help them be more present at school.
So the reason the police would be in there would be for a very specific thing. They don't do regular searches.
Yeah, to my understanding, if the principal is kind of thinks something's going on, or he, there's rumor of drugs being in school, they can then request a search from our police department. But
and do
right
you have
now,
a sense
it's not
of
something that they. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just was curious. Do you have a sense of how busy the 9 dogs are in the Las Vegas Police Department?
I don't actually. I know a couple of the canine handlers on the team, but I don't know exactly how busy they are. I do know, after talking to one, though, that, for example, when a school requests the services, it's not something they could just go do, that day, because obviously they are very busy. There's not many dogs for as big of a town as we have.
Sure.
So it's a little different than maybe a private agency like us, where we could set like a schedule where we're there regularly, mandatory, and we're always.
What do
present.
you charge for your service?
An average search charge is about $250. It kind of depends on how long we're there and the square footage, so it does vary, but it's usually around $250.
And at $250 per search, have you figured out what your break-even number is? How many searches?
We haven't yet. We're still kind of testing the market. Like I said, we've had more commercial, so obviously those have been much bigger jobs. So we haven't really discovered a standard price yet. We're kind of testing the market.
When you say commercial, Amanda, can you help us understand what you mean by that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So we work with a lot of the clubs here, casinos, private schools. Right now, private schools, because they don't have the police department like public schools do. So
Right.
that kind of thing is what I'm referring to for commercial.
Don,
Dan,
questions?
Amanda, how do people find you?
You know,
Your company.
that's one of our biggest struggles right now is they don't. Because it's never existed before, nobody knows to look for it. So right now, it's pretty much we have to go to them. So we've had a couple articles written about us, which has been great for people to, kind of be familiar with the business and learn about it. We've gotten a lot of business that way from the media. But other than that, like I said, we cold call a lot of businesses and casinos and private schools, and that's pretty much seemed to be our best area to reach people. As far as residential, though, it's very hard to target them specifically because drugs don't discriminate. They're in every neighborhood, every family, and we haven't quite found what works yet to reach those people in need.
Well, let me ask you: if you find drugs, are you required by Nevada law to tell police about it? How do you get around that issue?
We are not required to inform law enforcement, and we don't find the drugs because we leave that up to the homeowner.
Yeah, you said you identify by markings to the homeowner where you believe they are. It's up to the homeowner to go and search the designated places. Going back to your question, Don, anything else?
Oh, yeah, I have two other ones. You won a SCORE award. I'm curious, what made you enter it, and why did they name you a champion?
I entered it because I have actually been working with SCORE since I started my business. They offer free mentoring services. You can go as many times as you want. You can call them and bug them as many times as you want. And it's been a great resource for me. So they sent out an email about the contest, and I was like, oh, hey, most unique business. I think mine's pretty unique, so I was like, why not try, and enter? So I did, and they just released the winners a couple weeks ago, and I'm a winner for the state of Nevada. And in September, they'll actually pick top three. And top three will win $25,000 towards their business.
Wow.
So that would be really awesome.
Dan, I don't know about you, but Amanda has one of the most unusual businesses that I've run across in a long time. What do you think?
Well, Amanda, I've written several times. I write commentary, and I've written several times about the opioid epidemic, especially in the Midwest and up in New England, and even into Appalachia, where the use of drugs is and the overdoses is just out of control. And I was wondering, have you thought about, in terms of who you're going to? There are drug intervention centers. There's an equal organization, I guess, to AA that helps family members and deal with drugs and drug abuse in the house. If you believe it's there, but you can't find it, you may not be able to help the child. And maybe one of the areas you need to start thinking about is that at some of these rehab places where families are desperately trying to figure out what's going on with their child.
Right.
And you just said they're very good at hiding it. Maybe this is a place where you can act as also part of the intervention of discovering sources of drugs within the house, because it may be more than one place.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because we actually have helped the families who had they had a son or a daughter in rehab, and they just wanted to make sure that their home was free of drugs before their son or daughter returned home. because they don't want, they don't want them to get home and then relapse, because they have something stashed away in their room. And so we've actually helped quite a few families in that aspect.
Have you, we're almost out of time. First of all, before I go any further, do you have a website?
Yes, we do.
Can you tell us what it is?
Yes, it's www.noseydogsdetection.com.
Okay. Noseydogsdetection.com. Now, let me ask you my last question. Have you considered the possibility of speaking to civic groups like Rotary and Kiwanis and those types of organizations to help them understand what your service is, and the Chamber of Commerce, looking for opportunities to bring in yourself and your dog and talk about what you do and how you can help families perhaps heal the terrible effect of drug abuse?
I actually haven't gotten into any of that yet. It's funny because somebody just called me from the Chamber of Commerce, I want to say last week, to talk about, a membership there and, the benefits of, getting a membership with them. And I have yet to call them back, but
when you call them back, you ask them if you want me to join. I get a free presentation to the whole membership.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, tell them that's what you want to do.
That's what you asked for. Amanda, Dan, I'm going to jump in and ask you another question before we let her go. Our next guest is on the line, but I am absolutely fascinated by this, and ask, Amanda, are you licensed that you could take your dog to another state if someone was desperate enough and wanted you to come? Can you operate in another state?
Yes, we can. We actually we haven't had anything out of state yet, but we have traveled to other cities within Nevada. So it is something that we are licensed and offer as well. So it's kind of good for other, nearby cities and states that don't necessarily have these resources. We are able to travel to meet their needs.
Well, Amanda, you have a fascinating business. Congratulations on your
Thank
award
you so much.
score. And we'll put your website up on our show tonight. And thank you for coming and spending time and talking about your entrepreneurship and your new business. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And now we need to take a break, and we'll hear from our sponsor. And we'll be right back.
Don't let hackers get your data. Email is insecure and can't handle large files. Instead, use Biscom's Secure File Transfer product. Military-grade security that's as easy to use as email, and it can handle attachments of any size. Visit Biscom.com for your free trial and make sure your private communications stay private. That's BISCOM.com.
Welcome back to Recalculating, a program designed to help you be successful. Now it's time for Money in Motion. Dan Perkins is our resident expert in making the money you earn work as hard as you do. Here is Dan Perkins.
Dan, our next guest has been on the board, and I'd like to bring her in now. She's Jen Cohen Crompton, and we'll have your commentary at the end of the show. Is that okay?
That's fine, not a problem.
Jen Cohen Crompton is entrepreneur in residence of the Neat Company, and she's here to talk about neatness and spring cleaning and a lot of other things. Jen, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
You going to come and clean my desk?
Yes, I will be right over.
Yeah, it needs some cleaning, that's for sure. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you became an entrepreneur and your business, and what's happening.
Sure. So my name is Jen Cohen Crompton, as you mentioned. I have owned my own small business for about 11 years, and I have two different businesses. And I've worked with Neat on some of their product development based off of what small business owners want and need to help run their businesses more smoothly. So working with Neat, I've just been able to give them an entrepreneur's perspective on, what helps us on all the different levels of our business and how their software can integrate into our business management. Currently,
excuse me for interrupting you. I couldn't hear whose software you're working with. I couldn't hear that.
Neat. So Neat is formerly well known as a hardware company with their scanners. So you might have heard of Neat Receipts back in the day. It was one of their first products that they rolled out. But they advanced to kind of go beyond the scanner and to go more toward the software, digital document management side of things.
All right. And so you work with them trying to develop applications that are appropriate and necessary for small business. Is that fair?
Yes.
So tell us about some of the things you've developed.
So one of the most important things that business owners really wanted was integrations with other software. So, most of us are working on the cloud, and we have cloud-based applications, and sometimes it becomes daunting to pull data from one software application to another. So, simple example, if I'm using Neat software to snap photos of my receipts because I'm busy and I'm, constantly on the road doing things as a small business owner, I might snap a picture of my receipt. I have it in my Neat application. It gets uploaded to the cloud. And then when I'm ready to run an expense report, I want that to be able to talk to my accounting system because I want my expenses to go back and forth. I don't really want to be manually entering anything or uploading. So there's an integration that we have that is with QuickBooks. So any business owner, you have to have an accounting system. QuickBooks is a popular one.
Right.
And our data will go through an easy integration. All of your expense reporting and all of that data will go into QuickBooks. And that will kind of help you be able to streamline and manage all of your expenses and your financials without you having to download spreadsheets, upload spreadsheets, and that reduces your amount of error and then also the time that it takes to do all of that.
So you've been doing this, you said 11 years?
I've been a small business owner for 11 years, yes.
How long have you been doing the Neat stuff?
I've been working with Neat for the past 3 years.
Okay. And what did you do before that?
Just running my business from a marketing standpoint. So my two businesses are, I have a digital marketing company that I run, and then I also have a fitness studio. So I'm a little bit, different places, different times.
So let me ask you a question. As a person, as a small business person, and as a person working with probably other small business people, one of the things that we talk about and ask our guests about on this program is, what do you think is happening in the economy, and is it going to affect your business?
Yes. Okay, so I'll answer the first question. What I see happening in the economy that is a big factor factors into almost every business is the change of retail. So kind of the change of, the experience of just buying something, or I should say the act of buying something versus the experience of buying something or doing something. So, we know that big malls are suffering as some of their anchor stores are closing because they're shifting their dollars from their storefronts to their online marketing. And therefore, we're experiencing this kind of pullback in all the retail. So I think some of the experiences are what people are willing to spend their money on, not necessarily the products or going to the store because it becomes inconvenient. So, for our fitness studio, experience is key for us, and people come for an experience. And the experience is going to have to transcend beyond the in-store experience. So when they come and work out, they're going to also need some sort of experience that goes, online. So what can we do to build a community online that we can continue to keep people engaged? And how does our business translate into an online sort of business? So, all of these on-demand workouts, like the Peloton bikes that are in people's houses and they can stream workouts onto their screens. Again, it's becoming that factor of convenience. and then also not physically having to go somewhere if you don't want to. You can just do things when you feel like it. So I see that happening, and I see that businesses who are changing their models, so giving you different reasons to walk into their showrooms and their storefronts, those are the ones who are going to be successful. The ones who just kind of pull back and just abandon the storefront, maybe that's going to work for them because they're just going to turn into an online retailer. But, I guess we'll kind of see how those things go. But it's that shift in how people are spending their money and what they're willing to spend it on.
Well, there's an interesting development in New Jersey that I'm following at the moment. Macy's says they're closing 100 stores. We know there's problems with Sears and Kmart, Abercrombie and Finch, and lots of these mall-based businesses are not even migrating to the web. They're some of them are just plain going out of business, and so I hear that there's a fairly large real estate developer in New Jersey who is either rethinking the malls that they own or are looking to acquire these malls. And what they're doing is they're considering, like there's one apparently under rehab, in a multi-level mall. What they're doing is taking the second and third level and creating apartments, creating housing, and keeping the first level, reconfigure it into, like a supermarket, maybe a shoe store, a drugstore, so that some of the basic things can be done right in the center by going down the escalator and creating housing space, because their alternatives are tearing them down. And there are some, we hear, there are some that are tearing down, especially strip malls, and converting those into assisted living facilities. So there's a whole different dynamic going on in the retail space. And I think that it's going to present opportunity, but it's clearly going to change the way we live and our need. There are some people that think that, Jen, that the internet is keeping people in their houses and diminishing social reaction, and that because they're not leaving, they're not going anywhere, they're just staying. Do you find that some of the small businesses you work with that are home-based, that the entrepreneurs don't get out very much? They tend to try and stay and work their web-based business?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. So I think when we're looking at, certain businesses, yes, I think, some of them are stuck behind their computer screen. That's where they're going to be, and that's what they have to do. But I think that there are so many younger business owners who are, running online shops. And in addition to running those online shops, they like running them from their computer and being online because it gives them the flexibility to move around. So, I think there's two interesting things that you put in there. One about the apartments, right? So apartment living is becoming a little bit more popular with the younger generation because they don't want to plant roots. They don't want to plant solid roots. And if we track this all the way back, it's going back to the fact that, you don't get a job and hold it for 20, 30, 40 years and get a pension and, just build your roots around where that commute is and call that your home for the rest of your life. Younger generations don't see that, and they don't want that. They want to have a little bit more mobility. So they're going to places like apartments and they're renting rather than buying. And therefore, they have more flexibility when it comes to moving around. But that's more, travel. They want to go to other states. They want to go to other countries. They want to go see things. And then they can run a business online because they can work from anywhere that has an internet connection. And I see a lot of young entrepreneurs, business owners who really just kind of want to have that lifestyle that they can be on the go and they can, go explore and kind of see what's out there as opposed to just walking into a 9-to-5, driving back to their house, paying their mortgage and just, living about with their white picket fence and their 2.5 children or whatever. So, I think that we're going to continue to see some of this trend, which, I guess when you say they're working behind their computers and they're becoming less social, I wouldn't say less social. I would just say social in a different way. because they're interacting with people online. They may be traveling again, they may be going out to meetings, or they have to make an effort to be a little bit more social, but they're still doing it. I don't think people are just going to disappear and become hermits for the rest of their lives. But that convenience factor plays into it, right? Because if you want to travel, you don't want to waste time food shopping. You'd rather the groceries come to you, or you'd rather walk downstairs in your apartment complex and go get your groceries. So it's just a shift in priorities and how and where you want to spend your time. And the fact that, going to the mall isn't really an experience. It's you go in and out of stores and you touch and feel things. But you can do that more efficiently online and save time. And instead, your experience could be, going for a weekend getaway. So I think that's kind of how the things are shifting and how we're changing our mindset.
Yeah, I have concerns about the clutter on the internet actually adversely affecting the opportunity for entrepreneurs to build viable businesses on the internet, because you can't break through all the noise that's there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I always think, remember back in the day when social media just became fun and interesting and businesses started to join, and it gave all the small businesses the opportunity to, be on the same level as the big businesses. But now that's not the case anymore, right? So Facebook used to allow you to create a page. Everyone had the same capabilities. You could look as big as small as you wanted to, but now it's a pay-to-play. So now for you to really get into people's feeds and to get some visibility, you have to pay more money. So again, the big corporations with lots of money are the winners. So I do see that being a bit of a struggle these days, but it depends on, how you brand your business and how you decide to change and be different. Because I always think from a digital marketing standpoint, digital is great. You have to be there. You have to do certain things because you have to be competitive. But when you're trying to be a little bit different and you're trying to stand out, go for some traditional marketing methods and break off the internet. Send personalized invitations through direct mail. But yeah, I definitely see that kind of posing a threat, and even with Google searches and all the paid AdWords, and I kind of wish sometimes it was like early internet days when it was actually easy to find things, and now it's all sponsored and keyword saturated. But I think there'll be a tipping point where we kind of start to shift, and something else pops up, and small businesses will be kind of put back on that even ground again.
Do you think it's possible that maybe that possible is not the right word? If you can look at yourself and your generation and what's going on, and look at what the proliferation, which we just talked about on the internet, do you see holes out there of services and needs that are unmet at the moment? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, I think one of the growing opportunities is really that sharing economy, and that's not really a new concept, and it's not one that has huge holes in it, but there's still the opportunity where people don't always want to buy something new. They want to borrow, or they want to share. We've kind of come to this, as I said, younger generations don't want to necessarily own a home all the time. They want to maybe live in an apartment. Well, you live in an apartment, you don't have that much space. And say you need a chainsaw and you need to cut something down. Maybe you don't want to buy one because you don't want to store it. But you may be able to borrow one from another person and rent their stuff and then give it back to them when you're finished. And for the individual, that's a way to make money off of something that's just sitting and not being used. So I think that we're going to continue to look for those opportunities of that sharing economy. And, maybe that's another way that we're bringing people together as opposed to pulling them apart. But, I see those opportunities that are sharing, and then also the convenience. So again, taking out some of those things that we do that we don't like doing, that could be simpler through technology or through, making things quicker to us. So, grocery deliveries. So rather than going to the grocery store, you go online, you shop, You can repeat your last purchase, and your groceries show up at your doorstep. So I think those are some of the opportunities. All of those services can be improved. They're all new, and they're all still evolving. So I think there will be the opportunity for those to become even better, make things even more convenient, and continue to support that mobility, and people just, not having to basically choosing how they want to spend their time.
Right. There's a group of people that call these people the millennials they call them urban dwellers in the sense that they are moving to not necessarily to the biggest cities, but they're moving to more livable cities in proximity to the big cities, and are close to transportation, food, entertainment, and are trying to avoid owning an automobile. And I spoke to a gentleman recently who says that he sees the opportunity for sharing almost as if you were putting together a partnership to buy a car, and you had shares in it, and you could use it a certain period of time, like a timeshare. Might be of interest to the millennials, that there's a car in the garage that is a timeshare car that you can reserve for a certain period of time, and you don't have to worry about the ownership of the car. You have to share in the maintenance and insurance, but you're not buying the car. And when you're talking about sharing the chainsaw, I mean, I guess I have a lot of stuff that I would love to be able to rent out to people. But Don, go ahead.
No, Jen, you originally came on this program to talk about spring cleaning. Let's go back to this. Dan and you have had a very interesting, and but before we end the program, tell us a little bit what you mean by spring cleaning for a small business.
Yeah, so it kind of ties back in because it's about, small business owners being on the go, being busy, and trying to do things as efficiently as possible, and doing that through technology. So when we talk to small business owners and we ask them, like, what are some of your business challenges and what are you trying to overcome, a lot of times they talk about the clutter, and that's like either the physical clutter, but now it's even more the digital clutter. So it's, my email box is completely full, and I don't even know how to organize these emails. So some of the advice that we give them is, about using different technology and different platforms that are going to help you sort through your emails. So something like Unroll.me is an easy way, and it's free, that you can integrate your email box, and it will go through and find all of your newsletter subscriptions and help you unsubscribe to all of them. So, that's a lot of what takes up our inbox, but we don't always take the time to be like, okay, unsubscribe, or I don't even know how I got on this list. That's a program that will help you out. And then there's other programs that are going to help with other aspects of it, like your expense management. So kind of like I said, what Neat does, it pulls your data into its system. It's able to parse through your data, and it can integrate with your other software. So it's going to integrate with your QuickBooks, and it's going to help you understand your financial situation and, avoid all of that data, that manual data entry that you hate doing, don't feel like doing, takes up time, and feels like it just, waste money because you're either doing it and spending your time on it, or you're paying someone to do it. So, that's another opportunity. And then when it comes to business data, as small business owners, we want data, but we can only take so much and we can only understand so much. So using platforms that are going to help you understand the most important data for you. So, for instance, if I am running Facebook ads, then I'm going to enable pixels on my website, and I'm going to be able to track who's coming from the social sites onto my website, and then what they're doing, if they are converting into customers. So we want to understand all of that biz data and not have to log into 10 different platforms, and kind of just understand exactly how we want to do this. So in terms of, spring cleaning for a small business, what it is it's saying, okay, what is taking up unnecessary time? What can I delegate? Is there other people I can delegate this to within my organization? If that's not the answer, then what can technology help me with? And it could be technology helps you streamline processes, it helps you with integrations, or it just enables some sort of automation and takes a lot of that manual process off your plate, and you can focus on other things that might be ways to bring revenue into your business and help you grow as a business. So this is a good time to kind of sit down and say, where do I need to make some changes? And then what can help me make these changes and, you know, clean up my business a little bit so I can free myself up to do bigger and better things.
Jen, your website, the Neat Company website, and how people can find you and the services?
Yeah, so neat.com is a website, and on that site you can find our different products. So if you look under solutions, you'll find our software, our integrations, and all of the ways that you can use Neat. And then if you look under our resources tab, we also have a blog, which we try to post really great small business focused information about, you know, how you can run your business better from a marketing, operations, and finance standpoint.
Well,
just to clarify, just real quick, is it neat.com?
Yes.
Good, thank you.
So it's www.neat.com.
You got it.
Okay. This is radio. Want to make sure everybody heard it right. Jen, really, thank you very much for being with us today. I found you, what you and Dan were talking about fascinating, and I'm sure our audience did as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. And now we got a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Hate your old fax machine? You can now fax through email. Simply write an email, attach the document, and send. Works with all major email providers. Get rid of the noisy and expensive old fax machine and try Biscom's Cloud Fax. Our solutions are great for businesses of all sizes. Visit Biscom.com for your free trial. That's BISCOM.com.
Welcome back to Recalculating, the program dedicated to American small business. It's time to bring together our two experts, Dan Perkins and Don Mazzella, as they discuss things that are happening now that are affecting your business success.
Well, Don, the ADP employment or jobs number came out this morning, and they need to work on their forecasting skills because they missed the number by 50%. They were expecting 185,000. Actually came in at 253,000 new jobs. I suspect that we're going to see the jobs number. We'll see the jobs number, I think, Friday from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I wouldn't be surprised if the number, because there was a huge disparity last month between the ADP number and the Department of Labor number, that the numbers aren't readjusted upward by the Department of Labor. 263,000 jobs, missing it by 50%. What's interesting is that the market is up this morning primarily because of the number. It was up over 160 points. It's only up 66 at the moment. And interest rates, the 10 years up a little bit. Oil is up again. Oil may be on a tear here because we're really close to a significant resistance area that could take us to $54, $55 if we can break this. So we have jobs being created. I think in the ADP number, Don, I read that 49,000 jobs in the 263,000 were construction jobs. Again, not McDonald's minimum wage jobs, bigger jobs. So the economy seems to be coming to life. And so even though it's coming to life, the Fed has indicated that they're not in any great hurry to raise interest rates. So money is still relatively cheap to borrow starting a business. And it appears that there is, as you said in the past, Mr. Trump has to get comfortable with governing. I think we're in a situation where he's going into the job. Now, there was a release this morning that Bannon is gone on the National Security Council. He's been taken off that position. And
about time.
And why do you say that, sir?
Anyway, I think he was more of a distraction than it was a help. And I think, as you just indicated, President Trump is learning to govern, and he's got to bring people in to his government that are experienced and that can deal with things. I thought it was a very good move on his part. Naturally, the media will put it in another light, but all in all, it's to me another sign that he's really learning to govern.
Well, there's some. I'm not going to disagree with that. I wrote a piece that the Daily Caller snapped up like in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes, and I'm working on a piece right now that I suspect will be similar. The piece that I wrote on the Daily Caller, which I think appeared today, was on the stupidity of the Democratic Party and picking a fight over Gorsuch. And the fight has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with the Democrats desperately trying to retain some element of control. They don't seem to understand that to force McConnell to use the nuclear option, that Chuck Schumer, who was saying to McConnell, preserve the integrity of the Senate and get rid of your nominee. Don't use the nuclear option. Get rid of the nominee and get somebody else that's more acceptable to us. There's never going to be an acceptable conservative for the Supreme Court to Chuck Schumer. Not going to happen. But there are people who are now saying that really the justices of the Supreme Court is currently the only piece left that requires 60 votes to become law or approval. So if they get rid of that, if they get rid of the nuclear, they get the nuclear option, and everything then becomes a simple majority for everything, the Democrats lose a significant amount of power. And I don't think they understand what they were trying to do. They were so obsessed that what's going to happen here is that Gorsuch is going to get through. They'll blow up the rules of the Senate, and it'll be a simple majority. And I think probably between now and the end of the first term, and surely the second term, probably Justice Kennedy and one other will either retire or pass on. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg is the oldest right now. So you could have a fundamental change in the court based on one vote, the simple majority. So I think the Democrats are in serious trouble. I don't think they understand how serious trouble they are. So we've got, about a minute?
Oh, no, we've got enough time for you to say good night and for me to say good night, and for one last thought.
Okay, well, I think that we want to watch this next few days what happens in the Senate. The Susan Rice situation is very concerning to me, and the possible political use of intelligence. Story's not dead. It's going to continue. So this is Dan Perkins.
And this is Don Mazzella.
And thanks for listening, and join us next Thursday night for Recalculating.
Thank you for joining us on Recalculating. We hope the information you received on today's show was helpful to you in starting and growing your business. Please go to our website, recalculating.biz, for past shows and special offers. And until next time, remember, if you grow, we grow. Join us next week for more helpful ideas to make your business a great success.